Hello Xyy'nai of planet Earth, this is Xyy'nai, and this episode is on Xyy'nai spirit forms. Spirit forms is a very complex concept to get into, and there's a lot to it, so you should take a look at the videos that we have out there on spirit forms, and if you haven't already, to gain some general understanding on what spirit forms are about. In general though, spirit forms can be thought of as anything that affects you that is part of natural law. Thus, it affects you, the environment you're in, your inner workings, and etc. But you don't really understand it, you can't see it, and you can't touch it. There are universal spirit forms that we're all being affected by, and there are also personal spirit forms that you have. And so right now we're going to be talking about some of those personal spirit forms. So all mojos have what we call pod power spirit forms, but you as a Xyy'nai, you'll have ones that are unique to you. So you have the pod power spirit forms that relate to you as a Xyy'nai, V, and Xy. Then you're also going to have what we call the elevator of enlightenment spirit forms, which involve what you think of yourself consciously, and also as well as the autonomous entities that exist in your psyche's unconscious. So all humans have that, but they'll be unique to you being a Xyy'nai. We have what we call the ritual ladder. These are basically kinds of rituals that humans have to go through in order to develop themselves and just come up through the general life experience of being a heroic human. As a Xyy'nai, these rituals, they will be universal rituals that all humans must experience, but they'll be different for you because of your powers, what's momentum for you, what's modulation. That will affect the variables of the ritual, which will make it unique to you. Now let's talk about the pod power spirit forms. So you have up here, we talked about the values fighter character. That's a general reference to having, the power of Xy consciously. So all Xy users, including the ones who modulate using Xy, will all have the values fighter character. So there are really 8 of them, 8 different values fighters. Yours is unique, you have a special one, and that's what we call the tribal guardian. The tribal guardian is the Xy pod power spirit form specific to you, the Xyy'nai. There's a lot to this, and there will be a lot of filmings on this, but the short version is that it'll be easier for you to use your Xy when you imagine yourself as a character that is made of it, and a tribal guardian is that. It's a creature that's made up of Xy and is native to using it as its elemental power. Next you have the power of Nai, but specific to you is going to be the cunning clan chief, and that relates to Nai being the second power. It's a momentum power, but it's in a unique position that makes it a cunning clan chief, a special form. Next we have V, and that's going to be your dashing daredevil. Your specific form of visceral gathering is the dashing daredevil. And finally we have Xy, which is your logic tower, and for you the character is going to be the principled protector, and that's a very particular form. It's a polar form of Xy, but it's very powerful when it's used. So altogether we have the tribal guardian, the cunning clan chief, the dashing daredevil, and the principled protector. Next we'll get into the elevator spirit forms. First we have what we call the apparatus, which is what you think of as you. So every human has an apparatus, but for you as a Xyy'nai, this is going to be made up primarily of your conscious powers, so the Xy, the Nai, the V, and the Xy, and it's going to be what you know, so these will be your 4 powers, and mainly weighted on your first 2, your top 2, the Xy and the Nai. So, but so your whole phenomena, your whole psyche, all of the spirit forms that are within you, that's what you are, all of you. But when you think of me, then that's actually the conscious portions that you have, which are the, again, the Xy, the Nai, the V, and the Xy. That's you, and when we say the apparatus, that's what we mean. So the apparatus interacts with the world, it thinks to itself, and also goes in and communicates with the unconscious spirit forms. So it's the one that is the intermediary, so going out into the world and then inwards to your spirit. So the Mazut spirit form is what you think of consciously. It's not you directly, but it's the you that you show to the world. So there will always be a difference between what you know of yourself consciously and what you show to the world. So for the Xyy'nai, that's going to have a lot to do with the SS index and other things that relate to their bubble and how their powers are being interpreted by the world, because there's what you would be most natively good at, for your peak pathway, and then there's, the various workarounds, things that you've done in your life to make a place for yourself in the world. Those workarounds, those adjustments, those ways of doing things that help make a place for your peak pathway, that's your mazut. So your mazut's very important. It's not just meant to, disguise your true self. It's meant to be a conduit for you to the world. But you and the world have to have a negotiation, and that mazut, that is your form of negotiation, that compromise between what you see of yourself and how the world interacts with you. Next is the Daryu, and the Daryu has to do with things that are like emergency programming, difficult stuff that you don't feel like dealing with and therefore is in the unconscious. The Daryu is the first unconscious spirit form that you'll encounter. So as a Xyy'nai, it's going to deal with your modulation powers the most. So when we talk about your powers of V and Xy and also your super modulators, the powers of Vi and Z, those powers, when those kinds of things come up, your Daryu deals with a lot of which you're not able to do, to buy. The more that you're able to deal with it and take upon yourself, the less Daryu has to do for you, and you're able to not be possessed by it. All these spirit forms can possess you if you don't take control of them. For example, Xyy'nai that's either not doing their modulation powers at all, or they're overdoing them to a point where they've given themselves over to their modulation powers, that's going to make the Daryu have too much influence. So the proper influence is when you're using things like keening, for example, to teach you, to help you go to smart places. So the Daryu is a good teacher, but it teaches you when you're going places that are not good for you. So it's about emergency, and it's about warning. It's about keeping you from danger. And once you get into danger, then it's meant to get you out of it. Next is the other. This is your metaphysical lover, your unconscious genius, your muse, and that's going to be the 4 powers that you don't have consciously. So your 4 unconscious powers. And it can also come across as a creature or being. It can also be travel or adventure, but since you are Xyy'nai, it'll be comprised of the other 4 powers that you don't have in your conscious, so it will be the Xy, the Ni, the Vi, and the Z. So the one you'll recognize most right away will be the powers of Xy and Ni, because those are inspiring to your top 2 powers, the powers of Xyy'nai, so in your psyche. In the unconscious then, whenever your Xy and Ni are stimulated, it'll give you this connection to your metaphysical lover. And that's how you make love to your other half, through communing in a way that it understands. And in the unconscious, it won't understand, technical stuff. It will understand being spoken to in a spiritual, artistic, and personified way. Finally, we have the Fumasta, and that's when you're in your master form. This is something that you're always trying to aspire to be more and more and better, and you can never fully arrive there. You're always in the process of arriving into the Fumasta. As a Xyy'nai, this is going to relate to your composition relationships. So for you, that's when your Xy and your Z are actually one, and also your Nai and your Vi, and so on, through all your priorities, to where your priorities in the conscious and unconscious are working together in unity and in productive harmony. And it's being done in a storyline that favors you, and that's how it's supposed to go, but that's something that only works when you have all the powers going. So this is a very high level thing to pull off. It takes mastery to do it, but this is what you were built to do, so you have the tools. All that mastery escalates to merging with your shiny baby. So as a Xyy'nai, you have the complete package of caring and of tribal relationships and shepherding, and then you've have the complete package with your unconscious powers, with harmony, with purity, everything, total completeness. So then you can merge with and reboot yourself whenever you need to. So you can never lose your Xyy'nai-ness, no matter how lost or confused you've gotten or what the world's done to you. You can always reboot your Xyy'nai nature and spirit, because the shiny baby will take you into its womb and you'll come back out, pure and loved. The other spirit forms we'll get into more later, but in short, you have the tribe of humanity, and that relates to all mojos, with you being a Xyy'nai within the tribe of humanity. Then you have Gaia, the spirit of Earth and its biospheres, and that's very important to all mojos, but for you as a Xyy'nai, you're going to have a special relationship to Gaia because you're going to know it through the Xyy'nai storyline, which is a very special way of knowing something. Then you have the cosmos, which is the spirit of the entire universe and beyond that made us. And then you have energy evolving, that is before the Big Bang, after the Big Bang, and everything between, and so forth. And as a Xyy'nai, you're part of this. You're one with the energy evolving. So know yourself, grow yourself, save the world, and you will definitely be needing spirit forms to do all of these.